Hey, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Billion Dollar Banker podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Perrone, and as you guys know, this show is built for high achievers by high achievers. And today we have Jacob Brown with us, who I'm so excited to have. Thank you for coming, Jacob.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for inviting me.
Guys, this is going to be a great episode. I have Jacob's book right here, but first let me introduce him because it's a really impressive background. Jacob's one of the most electric voices rising in the world of professional speaking, which we were just talking about storytelling a little bit before. A former NFL athlete turned serial entrepreneur, best-selling author, and transformational keynote speaker, Jacob has quickly become a go-to expert for companies and conferences that want to shift mindsets. Don't we all need to do that? Also, building resilience for leaders and transforming the workplace culture. His high impact keynotes have earned standing ovations at some of the world's most respected organizations, such as Intel, Meta, LinkedIn, UPS, General Motors, and my team, by the way, the Dallas Cowboys.
Nice.
As a 3-time TEDx speaker, really impressive, love TEDx, and a co-founder of Varlo, you may have seen some people walking around in the fitness world with his brand. He just has incredible insights and a great ability to really blend his grit, heart, and strategy to every stage that he's on. And yeah, he's been featured in Forbes as well. The Wall Street Journal and Good Morning America. Jacob doesn't just motivate, he moves people. His keynotes are part performance, part personal revelation, and 100% unforgettable. He teaches audience how to embrace failure and fuel it and use it to lead through adversity and step fully into their potential. Off the stage, Jacob is a devoted husband and proud father of 4. Wow, 4. And on stage, he's truly a force. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And thank you for that incredible intro. I don't even know where you got that from.
Yeah. It's a good one. I was joking with him saying the intros are long today, but they're worthy of mention. All of this is so impressive, what you've done with your career and your personal story. And, you know, this show is really built to hopefully inspire people, inspire our guests and our audience to learn from the stories of others and what they've done with their lives. And you have some incredible things to share with us today. So let's just jump right in. Your journey includes a time as a professional athlete, a setback, a reinvention, and now a leadership and speaking. Can you walk us through the pivotal moments that really shaped who you are today?
Yeah. So, small town kid, from one of those neighborhoods, those towns that has like 2 stoplights in Bridgeport, Michigan. Nobody really knows where that is. You know, if you ever meet somebody in Michigan, they're going to point their finger and
somewhere over here.
Middle child of 7. I was the first to get a full ride scholarship to go play college ball. Went to Central Michigan University. My younger brother came and played with me after that. Went to the NFL for a short period of time. And that's when I kind of, for the first time, experienced real life and real people that had their own agendas. And I picked out the wrong agent, I guess I would say, and just had some setbacks in the NFL from that time, and came back home in 2006 and started my career. I was a graphic and web designer, and I started a career as a creative director for about 16 years, led some large teams, large companies, Fortune 500s, launched some beautiful products, and around 2019, 2020, during COVID, I realized that there was just a bigger purpose for me. And I already started speaking, I already started coaching, but I no longer really wanted to work within the corporate America realm from that standpoint. I wanted to be on stages. I wanted to be inspiring, encouraging people, motivating leaders to be better leaders. Based on the leaders that I had, I learned a lot from the leaders I had during my time in corporate America, and I learned a lot as a leader during my time in corporate America. And one of the things that I set out to do is to make the corporate world a better place, not just for leaders in corporate, but also leaders at home. So that's where I'm at.
Absolutely amazing. As you're speaking, I'm thinking about the audience. I'm just thinking about how much risk and forward momentum you need, and betting on yourself through that process of leaving the corporate world where there's a lot of safety and I guess security to some extent. But it's just incredible. I'm always in awe of people who bet on themselves. You describe your brand as fail forward. We have the book here with us today. I can't wait to open it up. What does failing forward mean to you, and how did you land on that as your core message of your work?
Primarily because I failed a lot.
There you go.
But I've always managed to fail forward and always managed to fail up in every instance. I learned from my experiences. I learned from all of my failures, all of the things that I had gone through in life, whether it was a failed marriage. I went through a failed marriage. Got divorced in 2012, got remarried to my wife in 2015. We're going to be celebrating 10 years next month.
Ah,
I'm very excited.
congratulations.
Being a failed father at some period of time, being a failed friend, a failed business owner. I struggled with alcoholism for about 10 years after football was over. So I've gone through a lot of experiences and failed moments. But there was something that my aunt told me in 2006, about 2 months before the NFL draft. She asked me, Jake, what happens if football doesn't work out? Now, at the time, I'm 6'3", 220 pounds. I ran a 4.38 40. I had an incredible senior year. There was no reason football wasn't going to work out.
Right.
And, a couple months later, football didn't work out. And she asked me, what would I do? And I said, I just fall back on what I was getting my degree in, graphic or web design. And she told me that if you're going to fail or fall, always fall or fail forward. And in football, we're taught when you're running the ball, you get tackled, you fail the mission to score, but if you fall forward, you still gain extra yards. And if you get tackled on the 1 yard line and you fall forward, that's a touchdown. One of the things that I've learned in my life is that even in my failures, failed moments, failed businesses, failed relationships, if you take the knowledge that you learned in that experience into the next phase of your life, you're going to be in a better place. You're going to be starting from a different point and you'll fail forward. So that's where fail forward came for me, is from my aunt down in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's amazing. Well, good job, Aunt, because, I mean, this is a great book. I'm sure it's changed a lot of people's lives. And I love that. I did not expect that analogy of getting tackled on the field and falling forward. How incredible is that to think that, when you do fail or when you do get knocked down, if you could just lean forward, lean into it a little bit, that you could get an extra yard or two out of it. And it could really be an incredible lesson. That's amazing. So if you were to kind of take us through contextually the book and some of the greatest highlights here, what would you say are some of the things that you're hearing from people that are reading or that you're speaking to that are really pivotal for others?
Yeah. One of the reasons I wrote the book was a lot of people were asking me that exact same question. Where did fail forward come from? Jake, how do you have all of this resilience, perseverance? How do you not quit? And I wanted to put it in a book form. So the first half of the book is about where I gain my fail forward mentality and how you too can also have a fail forward mentality in your relationships and your finances, in your businesses, in your social economic life, in your parenting, in your, family, all of these different areas where you can grow and groom a fail forward mentality, which is a never quit mentality is what it is.
Right.
An always learning mentality. The back half of the book is my 100 favorite quotes. And these aren't my quotes. Some of them are, but most of them are quotes from people that you've heard of, you may not have heard of. The first quote in there is my favorite quote of all time. It's from Chris Gardner. Chris Gardner is who Will Smith was depicting in Pursuit of Happiness. Okay. Chris Gardner is a multimillionaire. He's worth over $80 million, large broker out of Chicago. Chris Gardner, if you watch the movie The Pursuit of Happiness, he was manifesting all of the things that he wanted in his life. So much to the point where people thought he was crazy. His wife left him with their young son, but he was manifesting and he never quit, even throughout all the hardship that he went through, sleeping in train station bathrooms, all that.
Right.
Chris Gardner has a quote. He says, speak what you seek until you see what you've said. I'll say it again. Speak what you seek until you see what you've said. And everything that I've done in my life, my mom used to tell me, visualize yourself scoring a touchdown, hitting the game-winning home run, walking across the stage, getting your diploma, getting married, making it to the NFL, leading a team. She would tell me, lay on your back and visualize yourself doing these things. But one of the things to take it to a next step is a lot of people won't say out loud what they want in their life because they know if they say it and tell someone, they're going to be held accountable. But when we begin to speak the things that we seek, we'll know and understand that our brains will start to charge towards that consciously or subconsciously, and we will begin to manifest the things that we wanted.
So true.
Yeah.
Many people see failure as something that's shameful, right? Or a source of fear, right? There's this fear of failure that prevents people so often from just even getting started. Oh, they could have never failed at anything. And they're just like, I don't know if I want to do it because what if I fail? And I always say one of the quotes I love is winners lose more than losers lose.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I tell that to my kids all the time. It's okay if you lose. Actually, lose a lot and lose as quick as you can, because the more you're losing, that means you're doing it more, right? That means you're taking that action. And there's this whole fail fast mentality in business now. But there definitely has to be like these pivotal points in your life where you make that really conscious decision. What was your first shift in mindset to see failure just as fuel instead of like this dead end? Because it could be so defeating at times, right? You want to give up. Where did you make that shift?
I would say back in 2009, I realized that a lot of people's parents were getting on Facebook. And I wasn't on Facebook at this time, but I, as a developer creative mind, I wanted to take advantage of that. I'm always looking for what is the opportunity in this? How can I fill that vacuum, right? And during that time, I decided to create a website called Noise, Knoyce. And the purpose of Noise is that it's better than just nice. It's noise, right? You probably seen that Key and Peele.
Noise.
Right. Key and Peele did a skit, and this was well after I created Noise in 2009. I don't think they copied me, but I created Noise on a Ning platform. Ning was a social media platform where you can build your own social media platform. Wow. And I built Noise on Ning as a developer. And it was one of the only places you could log into your Facebook, your MySpace at the time, your email, and you can also have a social media platform outside of Facebook, because a lot of kids were getting off because their parents were getting on. And within 3 months, I had 40,000 users in over 109 different countries.
Wow.
And one of the things I did not realize truly as a creative is the infrastructure side. I had no idea how to manage and hold this many people. So the site kept crashing. I had no idea how to monetize this traffic.
Right. Like, right, I did it.
Marketing.
Now what?
Yeah. And after 6 months, I had to take it down. And it was a huge failure in my mind because it was so successful for such a short period of time. And the trajectory it could have gone on never happened because I failed. Right? I failed to learn. I failed to have the knowledge that I needed to make sure that it could run. And in that moment, I realized, yes, this was a failure, but I learned so much. Right. And multiple businesses after that were also failures, but I got closer and closer and closer to where I am now. And when I look back at, okay, what was the first huge fail forward moment? I would say it's Noise.
Yeah, because wow, that's to see that kind of success so quickly with something and then just not be sure, okay, now what do I do with it? We see it. I was telling Jacob that I've been in the mortgage industry for 20 years. And, one of the things you see is people can get to this level where they're becoming very successful, but then it's like, now what? Right?
Yeah.
Now, how do I handle all this, manage all this? How do I scale this? Who's next? How do I get the capital to fund who's next? What would you have done differently there? Just like as you look back, what would you have done a little bit differently? Is it about working with more people? Is it about, is that a big part of it, you think?
I would have gotten out of my way. And put my ego aside and not wanted to be the only one that led this large conglomerate of a brand. And I would have partnered with smarter people than me. I think a lot of people are afraid to partner with smarter people than them because they know that in their ego, we all have that ego, that E word. And I think sometimes we clash with our own selves, knowing we need to partner with someone, knowing we need someone that might be smarter in certain areas, but we just can't get out of our own way. And that's one of the things I would have done is I would have partnered with a few other people that I know would have helped scale that business a lot quicker than I ever could have.
That's really interesting because I do think, and I've felt like I've learned through times too, that it's about the people that are around you that really matter and who you can partner up with. And I think some people do an incredible job partnering up and getting together. And I think it's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned as well is to leverage other people's experience, to team up to get things done. When you think about, so you had, you were on the Raiders, there was an early cut there that was, failure number one.
Yeah.
Then, I'm sure in your mind, you're thinking like, well, what if the next thing I do fails? Like, how do you, cause obviously like that failure, there's a lot of time invested. Obviously you learn, but how do you get rid of that fear of failing again? Because I mean, there does come some kind of a cost with it too.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too expensive, but failing can be costly. And sometimes I equate it to like, well, it's like kind of like going to school, right?
Yeah.
Like like in that sense. But how do you kind of push past the fear of it happening again to you?
Yeah, you've got to reframe the failure, right? And one of the things, and I know this now, I didn't know this then, and this is what I teach now, to reframe the failure. A lot of people view those moments as failures. I don't think anyone would look at me and say, oh, you made it to the NFL, but you didn't, play 10 years. Oh, you're a failure. I don't think so. I was one of 70,000 college athletes to make it to the NFL in 2006.
So impressive.
It's not a failure, right?
No.
I wore number 19. I put on an Oakland Raiders helmet. I played next to Randy Moss. Warren Sapp was on the other side of the line. I still have those memories that many high school kids, college kids can never say, right? So if I reframe that failure and say, you know what, Jake, you didn't fail. You didn't just get cut. You have the opportunity to play in a space that many don't. There's something there that you can pull from, right? One of the ways that I reframe the word fail, a lot of people hate that word. They want learning moments instead of fail, right?
Okay.
But if you failed, period.
Right.
But failure is just fueling your ambition and ignoring your limitations. Fuel ambition, ignore limitations. And when you get to the point where you understand that failure has to happen because that's the only place you get feedback. You've heard people say failure is feedback. And when you fail and get that feedback, you understand how to do it a little differently next time. But if you talk to any entrepreneur, any successful entrepreneur, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, you talk to any of them, there's so many failed products in their package, right? There's so many failed businesses in their resume that they probably don't talk about that got them Facebook, that got them to Amazon, right?
I love how Mark Cuban says, like, you only need to be right one time.
You only need to be right one time.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could be wrong as 100 times, but just one time if you get it right. And I think that's part of what kind of keeps me going at times. I started a construction company 3 years ago, and I was just sharing with Charles that it's very difficult to run a business. And a lot of those things transcend, and you're learning as you go. And it's sometimes you get a little bit crippled, like, what do I do next? Now what? How are we going to get around this? You just got to kind of constantly by finding ways to solution what the issues are. But I've always loved listening to podcasts, and I've always loved listening to people like yourself and TEDx talks, which I want to hear a little bit. Tell the audience a little bit about what you've talked about. 3-time TEDx speaker, which I think is so impressive. But those things help really kind of get you through those moments. I think hearing from others, recognizing that you're not alone. This isn't just you. You're, it's not personal, the failure. But like you just said, what you pull from it, that matters, right? It's like, what are you going to take out of that moment that's going to help you? Because feeling like a failure is not going to propel you forward. It's just going to make you want to kind of give up. So when you do your TEDx talks, tell us about some of the topics and how you're inspiring others through them.
Yeah, one of my most recent TEDx talks was about how to embrace fear and overcome the setbacks in your life. A lot of people understand that the fear, they're afraid to fail, but they don't understand that the fear that they have, number one, isn't real. And also, it's just the amygdala part of your brain that's trying to protect you. And the amygdala part of our brain was there to protect us from, the caveman days where there's a saber-toothed tiger coming and we're just trying to survive, right? But now you don't need to survive from that. Everything you need to survive from now is social embarrassment, right? Or public embarrassment. It's not really life or death. And once you can realize that, listen, even if I fail at this job, or even if I fail at this business, I'm not going to die, right? It's not going to be life or death. So let me push past that. And how do I do that, right?
I was going to say the saber-toothed tiger sounds a lot scarier.
It does. It does. Pushing past the fear. In one of the stories that I tell in one of my TEDx's is about the old Chinese farmer that lost his horse. Have you heard the story? So there's a story of an old Chinese farmer that lost his horse, and all the villagers came around. They said, that's bad fortune, isn't it? He says, maybe. The next day, the Chinese farmer's horse returned with 7 wild horses, and all the villagers came around. They said, that's great fortune. He says, maybe. The next day, the Chinese farmer's son took out one of the wild horses to try to tame it. He fell off the horse's back, broke his leg. All the villagers came around. You know what they said. That's bad fortune, isn't it? He says, maybe. The next day, the Chinese emperor ordered all able-bodied men to join the war because they were going to war with a neighboring country. In that war, many men were maimed and many were killed. The Chinese farmer's son was saved because his leg was broken. All the villagers came around. They said, that's great fortune. Your son was saved. Chinese farmer simply replied, maybe. In China, there's a saying. That saying is Sai Wu Shima. Remember the old man that once lost his horse. Because one of the things that the old Chinese farmer understood was that everything in life is not happening to you, but it's actually happening for you.
Mm.
And I'm pretty sure in your life, you can look back and you can say, oh my gosh, I'm glad I lost that job. I'm glad I lost that boyfriend or girlfriend. I am so glad that those friends don't talk to me anymore because they would have held me back from where I am today. If I didn't lose that job, I wouldn't have what I have today. If I didn't lose that relationship, I wouldn't have what I had today. In that moment, you think that it's the end of the world, but looking back, hindsight's 2020. But if you can have the foresight to say, okay, this moment sucks, but I know one day it's going to be made for my good.
Right.
You can go through life a lot easier and smoother without the fear of failure and devastation.
Wow. You can hear that story, by the way, over and over again, and it still is so, what a great story. I'm sure so many listeners haven't heard it. And it is, in hindsight, it's always easier to see, wow, if this didn't happen, to your point, I wouldn't be here today.
Absolutely.
You never know what's really actually serving you. Even some of the worst things that happen are serving you in your life in a great way. And it's what you take from it. And I think that mindset, like you said before, but I'm sure people have like these roadblocks, right? In their way, these mental or emotional roadblocks that, people stumble across that kind of prevent them from embracing failure to some extent. You mentioned ego before, but is there anything else that you would say is kind of in the way mentally or emotionally for people when getting through?
I would say our belief systems. Right? We are all born into a family, and that family has belief systems, whether it's religion, whether it's the way you should work, white collar, blue collar, the way you should save your money, whatever it might be. But you've got to get to a point. There's a book called The 4 Agreements. Have you ever heard of this?
Yes, I have. I love this book.
You got to get to a point where you can decide, I no longer agree with that. Or I do agree with that, right? I do agree with the way my parents raised me as a kid. I do agree with the way they disciplined me. I do agree with the way that they went to work, save money, whatever it might be, or I don't agree with that anymore. And I have the agency to be able to decide that I no longer agree with that. And I fully believe that our belief systems have to get us to a point where we decide how we want our lives to be. And it does not have to be tied with the way they were or where you came from.
Sure. Someone
has to be the first, right?
Yeah.
And Ed Milet talks about it. It only takes one. It only takes one, right? Yeah. One more. He talks about his father who was sober, and he said, I'm just going to be sober one more day. I'm just going to do one more push-up. I'm just going to do one more.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
And I think it only takes one person to change the lineage and the generations to come. And sometimes it can work backwards too. When I decided to get sober 4 years ago, I noticed people in my family decided also, maybe I should put the bottle down, Or maybe their way of thinking of what they went through when they were kids now is shifted because of what they see my kids doing now and going through.
It's like sometimes the tail wags the dog, so to speak, right? I mean, it's true. I love that analogy, one more day, just one more day, one more rep. It's really incredible. And, there could be people today that are listening that are in the middle of a setback. And, if you were talking to them right now, what immediate steps or practices do you recommend that they take to fail forward rather than just collapse?
Yeah. One of the first things that I do with all of my coaching clients is I want you to get a piece of paper out. If you are in this moment, and even if you're not in this moment, this is a powerful exercise, okay? Get a sheet of paper out, and I want you to write yourself a 6-month letter. Write the date of today, and then write the date of 6 months from today. And in that letter, I want you to write a letter to yourself as you're reading it 6 months down the line, right? Hey, you've lost 20 pounds in the last, 6 months. You've been working out every other day. You've landed a job in this. Here's about how much money you're making. You and your spouse are taking weekly vacation or weekly.
That sounds great.
Weekly vacations would be nice. You and your spouse are taking weekly dates, right? You have a better relationship with your kids. You reach back out to that family member that you were estranged from, right? Write yourself a 6-month letter of how you want your life to read 6 months from now. It doesn't have to be crazy. It just has to be better than what it is now. What's going to happen is put that letter in an envelope and hide it somewhere. You cannot open it until 6 months down the line. What's going to happen is you're going to subconsciously start to strive for everything in that letter. But what's really going to happen is 6 months down the line, you're going to open that letter and your life will be better than what you wrote today.
Wow. Wow.
And I do this with organizations all over the country. I follow up with them 6 months down the line. And most of the time, if not all of the time, the people reading those letters have a much better life and quality of life than when they wrote it before.
That's great. I've never heard of that before. I'm going to write myself a 6-month letter. I think that's beautiful. It kind of reminded me of like the Jim Carrey, how he wrote himself a check.
Yes.
You know, my mom said to me recently, she said, when's the last time you wrote yourself a check? I'm like, you know what? I haven't. But
Wow.
But those things, I remember, you know, my early 20s, writing on even just like a yellow notepad, the things that I wanted. And that's such an interesting way to kind of reverse engineer and manifest something, writing from your perspective in the future to yourself today. That's really very interesting. You know, I consider all of us leaders, right? Whether we're leading a team, we're leading ourselves, we're leading our family. You have a new keynote that you do on avocado leadership, which is a really interesting title. Tell us a little bit about avocado leadership.
So years ago, I worked with a company and they had just acquired another company and they were mixing and blending their core values.
Okay.
And they wanted to harp on the core values in this workshop. It was a leadership workshop. And they asked me to come up with a leadership workshop around core values. So I created and trademarked this workshop called Leading from the Core, in which I tie the makeup of a good ripe avocado to the makeup of what a good leader should be. It should have tough skin that's durable, that can be in any environment and adapt. It should have a soft flesh, inner middle, right? You ever tried to cut open an avocado before it was ripe, right? It's hard, you can't get through it. You might cut your finger.
Just tried that the other day.
Yeah. You've got to make sure it's ripe and you've got to make sure that it's ready. And at the center of that avocado is its core, that seed, right? And the core has to be something that is unmovable, unshakable. I firmly believe that all of us have several core values in our life, but there's two for each of us that we rely on when we are most stressed, when we're operating at our highest frequency, and when we're at our best, right? My two are empathy and service when it comes to my core values. I want you to think about what your two are, okay? But the word avocado, I turned into an acronym, okay? The first A is don't be an ass. And when I say ass, I mean, don't be a donkey, because donkeys are unmovable. They are stubborn. They stink. You don't want to be that type of leader. Okay. V is keep your values. Remember your values and your core values, because at the end of the day, we're going to be put into stressful situations. We have to remember our values. The O is to be open. You need to be open to new perspectives and new ideas. Nobody wants to work for or be with a person that is never open to anything. It's their way or their highway. We call these people type A people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The C is to have courage. Everyone needs to have courage. Sometimes you're just going to have to do it scared. You're going to have to push through that fear.
Yeah.
You're going to have to remember, Saiwun Shima, everything happens for us and not to us. The second A is to be accountable.
Right.
For so many years, I was not accountable for where I was in my life. I blamed everybody. I blamed my agent. I blamed my dad. I blamed my ex-wife, right? I blamed all these people for where I was and why I wasn't where I wanted to be. But once I became extremely accountable, life started to change because I was no longer looking to be a victim. I was looking to be a victor. The D is develop other leaders. Just like that core is a seed. And when you plant that seed, you grow more avocado trees. Well, a good leader needs to develop other leaders. They don't need to develop other followers. Develop more leaders, right?
Good point.
And the final O is to be optimistic.
Right.
I firmly believe that the best leaders are optimistic. They cast a vision. They put something in the sand, that flag in the sand, and they point people and help march people that way, whether it's from the front or from the back. But they're optimistic because I believe that optimism inspires resilience. And that's what we need. We need to be able to inspire resilience, right? So that is what an avocado leader does. And that's who they are at their core.
Yeah. Well, I love that last one because I think it's so true. When I think about all the leaders that really, you know, mentored me or motivated me in my career, they were always optimistic. You know, whatever baggage they were walking through the door with, they came in with a smile on their face. And they did. I love that, planting the flag
Yes.
and moving towards it, because they always had a place to take us.
Mhm.
Even when maybe the company, you didn't really know where the hell it was going,
Yeah.
they had that vision. They
Yeah.
knew where it was going to go and how to kind of get you through. And I think as a leader myself, sometimes you fall out of that vision and you're not connected with the culture that you're
Mhm.
within anymore. You don't know where someone took my flag. Where is it?
Where is the flag?
And sometimes you have to make hard decisions as a leader too. And I love the reminder of, not just wanting followers, but you want to inspire others to be leaders. I
Yes.
think that's probably one of the most rewarding things about leadership, is being able to do that. How do you do all of this? And, coach, author, entrepreneur, speaker, how do you do this, decide to focus your energy on it and just not get burnt out from it all?
Well, I've decided I wanted to do work that was life-giving
Mm-hmm.
and not life-taking.
Mm-hmm.
And the work that I do, when I sit with my coaching clients, when I inspire audiences, when I write books like this, that gives me life. But I've also created a life in which I have more time,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have a lot more time on my hands in between events, in between coaching sessions,
Mm-hmm.
that I can spend time with my kids.
Right.
My daughter and I am going on a field trip with her. She's 6 years
Aw.
old, and I'm going on a field trip with her on Monday.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm excited about that. I'm excited that I've been able to create a life that I can do those things
Mm-hmm.
in which it doesn't burn me out.
Mm-hmm. Some people say like there's no such thing as balance. It's like harmony, right? It's finding that harmony and being with your family. And when you think about doing all these things and writing a book, I was thinking to myself as you were talking, this is kind of like your letter almost to yourself. Like you have to live the
Yep.
things that you're writing. It kind of forces you as a leader to be in that space.
Absolutely.
So what metrics or indicators do you use to know you're having kind of a real impact? When you're sharing this message or going to these companies and helping inspire their culture, how do you kind of measure how that's feeling for others?
I've got two ways. So my love language is words of affirmation,
Mhm.
right? So I am always looking for, I'm not fishing for, but I am looking for to make
Isn't
sure.
he great, guys?
I'm looking to make sure that I am creating the impact. So I always ask for feedback
Okay.
at the end of my talks. I send a form to my event planners, whoever hired me, the day after, thanking them for the event and asking them, would they mind providing feedback?
Mm-hmm.
What I really want is a 5-star review, but whatever feedback you give me, I will take, because feedback, like failure, is feedback. And
Sure.
whether it's good or bad, I can learn from it and be better the next time.
Mm-hmm.
But while I'm at the events, I don't like to stay on stage. I like to get out in the audience, right? I like to look in their eyes. I like to feel what's going on in the energy in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I always stay a couple hours after the event, just so I'm present for anyone that wants to come up and talk to me.
Mm.
I've never been to an event where several people after my event didn't come give me real life feedback, whether it's good or whether it's bad, about their experience. And that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping to give people an experience, but also something that they can take and start to apply to their lives.
Right.
So when I start having people reaching out to me months, years later, hey, I was in the audience when you did this, or hey, I was on that call when you did this, and it really impacted my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I know that I'm at least marching the right way.
Right. I love that. I share the story. I shared it on my social one time. We were down in Miami for spring break, and we were with the kids by the pool. We were just getting done with lunch, and we were signing the check. The waiter brought it over, and he's like, "Hey, do you have a YouTube channel, a show?" And I was like, "No way." Like the YouTube following it's a tough one to grow and get the subscribers, but you have the views. People are watching. You're wondering the whole time, what's the impact? And he says, I follow you, and he's like, and I'm really trying to better my life, and I really like your show. And that was just that moment, to your point, that it was just that one person. I think of him almost every time I'm doing an episode. Like there's one of him out there.
There's somebody
in the
out there.
audience that's like really needs to hear this message from you.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, comment, let us know, reach out. We're all here to talk. We want to hear from you.
Mhm.
And it's the best feeling in the world to know that, you're not just sitting in the studio by yourself. You're doing this and it's helping others.
Yes.
So I absolutely love that. How did you kind of build that speaker muscle? A lot of people are very hesitant to speak in public. And was it natural for you? Was it something that you developed over time?
I guess it was a little natural for me. When I was growing up, my dad used to listen to Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar and Les Brown.
Wow. Okay.
And we'd be in the car, and I'm thinking, okay, what is this? crap that's on the radio?
Who's
Like,
this old man talking?
what is this crap mindset and all this stuff? And when I started playing sports
Mm-hmm.
and when my friends would come to me for advice, and I realized that they appreciated my voice. And one of my best friends, Tony, man, I'm trying not to get choked up. One of my best friends, Tony, grew up with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was a time after one of our football games, and he looked at me, and I never told him this, and I'm going to tell him this. He looked at me, he says, Jake, when you speak, people stop and listen.
Mm.
And it really didn't hit me until later in life what he meant and what he said. But I realized around 2014 when I was asked to do my first keynote, and I was able to impact a full room of people with an idea of mine, right? And to encourage them and to, impact their lives at that moment. And I realized maybe there is something I should start to grow and build, right? And through practice at home, like you said, standing in front of a camera where I think no one's listening, but people slowly start to reach out and say, hey, I really like this video you did, you didn't like or comment on it. What do you mean?
Right.
And when I realized that people don't always like or comment, and if I'm doing it for that, then I'm doing it for the wrong reasons, right? But if I'm doing it to reach that person that maybe doesn't have the strength at that time, right? That's who I'm reaching.
Right.
That's my audience.
Right. And that's back to your core, right? Your empathy and servant, I think
service,
you said.
Yeah,
service. I always say servant leadership, right?
Yes,
I love that. But that, you're having me think about how, when we think about where, what we're really trying to accomplish, knowing what that core is so important to our journey, and really trying to remember that. You hear about people that say, like, they before they step into a room, before they step onto stage, remembering, like, I'm here for the audience.
Yes.
What am I trying to do? How am I trying to inspire others? And I think when you come from that place, it's not about ego. It's not about likes. It's really about making a meaningful difference.
Yes.
You can feel it. And I love that you stay after and you get to people get to talk to you too. We were talking about how great it is for companies to have somebody that comes in from the outside and shares a new perspective, something that they've really been very thoughtful about, as I could tell you have with Avocado Leadership, which is my son's favorite fruit, right?
I love
a fruit,
it. Yes.
Isn't it?
Yep.
So let me ask you this. How about your 6-month letter? Do you have one to yourself today? And I was going to ask you about a longer timeline for yourself and maybe a legacy, but I figured I'd go that direction with your 6-month letter. Where will you be in 6 months?
In 6 months, I've already lost in the last 80 days. It'll be 90 days, October 19th. I've lost 22 pounds.
Good for you.
I decided I wanted to get back into college football shape. I'm about 15 pounds from that. So my 6-month letter, I will be down another 15 pounds.
Wow, good for you.
I'll be active 4 to 5 days a week. At that point, I'll probably be running 3 to 4 miles a day. My second book will be launched, Avocado Leadership. I'll be traveling at least 4 times a month, sharing the book, sharing the ideals, doing leadership trainings. My wife and I will have already celebrated 10 years.
Yes.
And we'll go back to where our honeymoon was in St. John,
beautiful.
USVI.
Beautiful.
My son will more than likely get his probably 3rd or 4th college scholarship offer.
Wow.
He's a junior this year. And
football player?
Basketball.
Basketball.
Yeah, he's a basketball player. He's almost 6'6".
Wow.
I'm 6'3".
He got you beat. How does that happen?
I have no idea.
I don't understand
He
that.
skyrocketed last year.
Wow.
But that's what I want for him. I want him he's a straight A student, great kid, and he deserves the world.
Wow.
Right.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
About that one step better, right? Every time,
Absolutely.
1 inch taller,
Absolutely.
3 inches taller.
But yeah, if I can read that letter in 6 months, I'll be a happy man.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that. I hope the audience will think about writing that letter. Don't have ChatGPT do it. Write it yourself.
Yeah, write it yourself.
And really think about it. I'm definitely going to do it now. And I'm going to be reading this book, and I can't wait for Avocado Leadership to come out. I'm excited for that. Tell us how our audience could get this book or contact you if they're interested in learning more.
Yeah. So it's on Amazon. So Jacob Brown, Fail Forward Mentality, you should be able to find it. It's also on my website. So if you go to jakebrown.speaks.com, you can go in the book section. And you can find it there. If you buy it from my website, I will send you a signed copy as well. But yeah, that's how you can find it.
That's awesome. This book feels incredible. If you can feel it, you just want to like massage it. Just a couple like rapid fire questions for you before we close out. Guys, first of all, go check out Jacob. Go check out this book. It's incredible. I think every time we push ourselves forward to learn something new, to hear it from a different perspective, at some point it starts to click, right? And it's building that muscle of kind of taking this all in and getting these reminders and hearing it from different perspectives that I think is truly, really helpful. When you think about a daily habit for yourself, well, first of all, getting in NFL shape, right? Like that's incredible. What rituals help you stay grounded the most in your life?
Yeah, one of the things I do is I go to bed early and I wake up early. And I usually like to wake up before the world wakes up, usually between 4:30 and 5 a.m. I usually spend about 30 minutes as soon as I wake up just in complete silence. Every now and then I might put on a YouTube like meditation music, but complete silence. So I can hear from God and I can hear from myself.
Yeah.
And I can just understand what I want that day to look like. If people just do that, I guarantee your life will begin to change because you'll start to see things differently. You'll start to smell things and feel things differently. And you'll start to understand a better path for your life for every single day. It's something I do every day. It's something that is a discipline action of mine. And I don't waver from it.
And not easy, by the way.
No.
I was thinking about this morning. I'm like, what am I doing? Like sometimes I just get into watching things and I'm interested in stuff and I'm like you have to pause and say like, how is this actually serving me? Listening to this or thinking this way or, there's so much information coming at us today. I don't think that's ever been more important to take and you're not even saying like meditate or, do yoga. You're just saying, just be silent. Just avoid the distractions for a little bit, set the stage for the day and like listen. And so much does. That's why like when you're taking a shower, you have your best thoughts because there's nothing interrupting you in there, right? It's just you and the water.
Yep.
So one more, what's a mistake you see rising entrepreneurs make over and over again that you feel like could be avoided?
One of the biggest mistakes I see rising entrepreneurs do is they're allowing AI to do everything for them instead of bringing in the human side. I do believe AI is absolutely incredible. I use it every day. But one of the things I try not to allow AI to do is to replace the human side. That this world needs, right? The human side that your customers need, that your clients need, your employees need, that your family needs, they need that human, right? And it's something as simple as this. Stop letting AI write your text in responses, right?
I know at some point I feel like I'm not going to know how to write text. I'm not going to know how to write anymore if I let it. I'm like, make it sound better. Like, okay, maybe I'm learning a little from it too, but you're right.
Yes.
I think you have to make it authentic.
Yeah, make it authentic. Allow people to know, like, if there's some grammatical errors in there, or misspellings, or if you have to edit something, like that is better than just something so perfect that you are starting to question, is this real or not? Because I do believe that we are in a day and age where you are starting to ask, is this real or not? And one of the things for sure is real is when you have that human interaction. And I do think companies will grow organically in the way that they should when they have that human side.
Did you hear the story about the attorney that used a prior legal precedent in a court argument?
No.
That he got from AI that wasn't even a real court case. So he just completely trusted AI to give him this story about a court case that set this legal precedent, used it in his argument. And the judge was like, that never even happened. And he was like, I shouldn't have. Like, when I heard that story, I was like, lesson learned, make sure you check what AI is giving you. Yeah. I mean, we live in a day and age, we have so much information, so much coming out of us to delineate what's real and not is really not easy. It's a job in and of itself. But this was truly one of the most inspirational podcasts I think I've had. Jacob, I don't know if it's coming from a right time for me, but I think that ultimately, I always say as a podcast host, you get to be like the student in the first row. Like how fortunate I am to be able to learn from you and your stories and what you've gone through, and how you've taken every failure and turned it into the next stepping stone for you. I'll never forget now that you came here, that one extra yard, that failing forward, that pushing forward, and thinking of that analogy as a football player falling forward. When you're on the 1 yard line, falling forward and getting that touchdown. So Remember, audience, everything is happening for you, whatever you're going through today. Follow people like Jacob, because that's how we're going to continue to stay inspired and motivated and have that grit and resilience that we really need. I'll be thinking about my core. I'll be writing that letter. And I'm so grateful you made the time to come here today, all the way from Michigan.
Thank you so much. It was definitely a pleasure to come out.
Great. Guys, we are going to have everything related to Jacob listed in the show notes here in the description. Please feel free to comment, reach out, share this episode with someone that you think could really use it right now. And we'll see you again next time.